in between Parshas Yisro and Parshas Mishpatim. And last week we had spoken about what transpired in the two most momentous events, probably in the history of the Jewish people, Kriyas Yamsuf and Matan Torah, and how the events that were mentioned in the Torah were considered preparations. I want to go a little deeper into that theme, but today we're going to talk about Yisro, one of my favorite people, because that's my bar mitzvah parsha.
That's a mazel tov.
A little bit biased. I'm going to present to you a series of questions, so hang on tight, because there's a lot of questions. And then we'll try to resolve, build some understanding. It starts as follows. First of all, Parsha begins by Yishma Yisro. Yishma Yisro. Yisro heard. So, Chazal asks, Mashmu Hashem Ba. What did he hear? The Mechilta tells us, the Gemara is roughly the Zayin. Kriyas Yamsuf v'Melchemes Amalek. There were two incidences that he heard. He heard about Kriyas Yamsuf, he heard about Melchemes Amalek. So the first question is, well, if he just cares about Moshe reuniting with Moshe Rabbeinu, so then why was Melchemes Amalek important? He could have just said, he heard Kriyas Yamsuf, that they got out. Also, it could have even been before Kriyas Yamsuf, because Klal Yisrael was out of Mitzrayim already for 7 days. So why isn't it that just the Yetziah in Mitzrayim itself was enough to spur him on? That's question number one. Question number two is that the Baal Turim says there's actually a third event. The third event that he might have heard was what transpired, well, what transpired many years before, which was that Tzipporah, and maybe she never told him this, but she revealed to him that she had done what to one of his grandchildren?
First mother.
The question is, which grandchild?
She was the first Jewish mother.
She was the first Jewish woman. It's interesting.
Mother.
The Lubavitcher Rabbi, who kept Yiddishkeit alive as his father-in-law did, sent a woman Mohel to Russia in the 60s because that way she would go undetected. It's very, very hard to pull wool over the Jewish communists, and it still is. That was a joke about race. In any case, so why would Tzipporah then have revealed this at this point, and why would that event have caused him to decide that it's time to go? Okay, so the third factor is he heard about what his daughter Tzipporah had done. Now, the next major question here is that Yisro is described as Kohen Midyan Chosei Moshe. Why do we need two descriptives? Either call him Kohen Midyan, if he's the Kohen Midyan, or call him Choten Moshe, which is actually more logical. And, as my kids pointed out to me, that Kriyas Torah, a remarkable thing. The name Choten Moshe in different forms appears numerous times if you read the first part of the parsha, again and again and again and again. Why? V'yavo Yisro Chosei Moshe. V'yavo Moshe ani choten chol Yisro ba'alecha. V'yetzid Moshe likros chotno. Again and again and again. How many times? 8 in the first aliyah, and subsequently 5 more, a total of 13. Why is the Torah so repetitive about this concept of Choten Moshe? I know you're my father-in-law. Fine, you told me once. We've identified him as Choten Moshe. Why does the Torah repeat again and again and again? Okay. Fourth question before Hashem asks is, Yisro demanded kavod from his son-in-law Moshe. What did he say? It says, Vayikach Yisro Chosen Moshe Tzipporah Eishes Moshe Achar Shilucheya, after she was divorced from him. She was divorced from him.
Oh, divorced?
She was divorced from him. What does Shilucheya mean?
I don't know, I thought they just separated, but not divorced.
Not so simple. What did Aaron tell Moshe about sending back his family to Mitzrayim? He said, we have enough problems with the rest, getting other Jews out of Mitzrayim. They're enslaved, so why should you bring more? That's a very difficult concept because they were Levium. Levium weren't part of this sheep. When Moshe and Aaron came and went as they pleased, no one was telling Moshe to go do bricks. No one was telling Aaron. The Levium as a tribe were exempt from all of that, because that goes back to the days of Yosef HaTzadik. That the Kohanim are a privileged caste in Egypt. They have their own land, they have everything. They're the only ones who didn't suffer slavery to Paro. So what does it mean that he didn't want Zipporah coming to Mitzrayim? Why not? Okay, and why is Yisro trying to bring her back? Now, we have also two sons. Shem ha'echad Gershom, ki amar ger ha'yisi be'eretz nachriya. His first child was named Gershom, because he says, I'm a stranger in a strange land. V'shem ha'echad, what should it have said? Shem ha'sheni, right? No, it says Shem ha'echad and Shem ha'echad. V'shem ha'echad Eliezer, ki Elokei avi b'Yizri v'atzileni micher Paro, was saved from Paro. Which chronologically came first? That he was saved from Paro, or that he was a stranger in a strange land? Why did he name his sons in reverse?
Maybe because they had made a deal with Yisro that first child.
Oh, very good. Hold on to that. Very good. There's a reason why Gershom is the first one here. Very good. Okay, now he demands of Moshe to come out and greet him, really. He's calling to him. The Medrash says that he shot an arrow into the Ananei HaKavod because he couldn't gain access. He wasn't allowed in. So he shot an arrow with a letter saying, I'm here. You have to come out and greet me. Of course, I'll tell us that he was given one of the greatest honors ever in the history of mankind. Because he says Moshe himself went out. Now if Moshe's going out, Aaron's going out. If Aaron's going out, Aaron's children are going out. And if Aaron's children are going out, the Zakanim are going out. And the Zakanim are going out, the heads of the Shvatim are going out. And then everybody's going out. What's going on? Everybody out. Can you imagine the whole entire Klal Yisrael comes to greet you? That is pretty spectacular. It may have been the single greatest honor ever bestowed on a human being ever.
Yeah.
Imagine if all of Klal Yisrael came out to greet you, led by the Gedolei Hador.
I'm Jewish. If a guy is, we have a soft spot for him.
It's also not clear who bowed to whom.
It says Vayishtachu Vayishak Lo. Who bowed to who? Simply taken, Moshe. Or maybe they bowed to each other, or Moshe. But certainly seems like Moshe did. Vayeshalu ish l're'ehu shalom. Very interesting. Puts them on the same level. Ish l're'ehu. They're not Ehu. He's his father-in-law, or he's Moshe. Whichever way you want to look at it. One has an elevated position, but they're not the same. Vayeshalu ish l're'ehu ela. He brings them into the tent. So, why, the Mepharshim asked, did Yisro demand this incredible show of kavod? It's not an honorable thing to seek kavod. HaMisrachik min HaKavod is one of the 48 midos, one of the 48 kinyonim of Torah, according to Pirkei Avos. HaMisrachik min HaKavod. Somebody's really sincere about Torah. They don't want to be recognized. They want to be out of the spotlight. For Shlomo Zalmara, when they would come to him and say, go to the door, and you say something, we would laugh at them. That $1 million smile. He just left. Nonsense. It's Rachel Minakava. And yet here he's parading around. Yeah, it's Lahavdil, like the Lahavdil of Dallas. President Trump went to the big race cars. The NASCAR. You know what NASCAR is? Most of America loves seeing fast cars, almost to kill themselves running around the track. I have no idea why this is interesting. I have absolutely no idea. If they have to change a tire, they run, and they change the tire, and they push it back on, and people are pushing that push, and they crash. What is the point? I really don't get the point. They're not going anywhere. They're just going around in a circle. Beach lane, but you went somewhere, would be one thing. You got from point A to point B, but they don't go anywhere. Yeah, it's like the old chariot. So he went with his big fat limousine, and he rode around the track, and everybody cheered him on. Right? Okay. So that's not exactly misrepresenting HaKavod. I mean, you're trying to, rally with all the attention focused on you. But
he didn't learn that
What's that?
I said he didn't learn that.
He didn't learn that. But he's given such great honor, and the Parsha, and this ultimate Parsha mask. Why was this Parsha named for him? For goodness sakes, it's the Parsha of Matan Torah. It should have been called Parshas Matan Torah. fact, we didn't even have to start with Yisro. We could have started later on, right? And just get straight to the story of Midbar Sinai. It really should have been called Parshas Midbar Sinai. That's what it really should have been called. So again, Yisro is defined by listening. What did he listen to? Mechemes Amalek, and also to Kriyas Yamsuf. Why? Third possibility, the bris milah of his daughter. And then he says to Moshe, I'm here as your chosan, again and again, chotein. 8 times in the first aliyah, 13 times altogether. It's that from one tiny letter in the Torah, we darshan halachos that have major implications. Whether it's in Mamanos, whether it's in Yisro to Heter, one little nuance. We learn how many walls the sukkah needs to be from one, and yet 18 times. And I mean 13 times. 13 times? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, and then the demanding of kavod, and then of course his identity as Kohen Midjan. He was Kohen Midjan. Why do we need to know that he's a Kohen? And the Mepharshim here say that he was, Rashi says he was the greatest Midyanite. Okay, so he was like a melech. Okay. Or he was the Kohen to every single Avodah Zarah in the world. He had tried every religion. He had a PhD in religions, and he knows everything about every religion, has tried every single religion. It means that those two mashma'ut are both correct interpretations, according to Chazal, of Kohen Midjan. Why is that important? Why do we need to know? In fact, you know who got heat for it? Who got heat for it later generation? He was called out and mocked because of Yisro's, plentitude of preparing animals for Avodah Zarah. Who got criticized later? Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, because that was from Yisro's family. One of the daughters of Yisro was married, and they made fun of him and said, "Hey, your grandfather's with fatain."
With fattening up
Fatten the cow, the fatted cow. We'll kill the fatted cow. You were doing Avodah Zarah, and you have the chutzpah to get up and kill, Shlumiel ben Tzvi Shaddai, who was a Nasi b'Yisrael, pedigree Shabbat pedigree. Right, a Nasi b'Yisrael. How dare you? They wanted to kill him. Many people wanted to kill him.
That's where he got the impression.
If not a Bishom, they probably would have killed him. Or certainly impeached him, at least. He would have been impeached, no question. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Amen.
Okay. Now, I'll add a couple more questions. The end of the Parsha, after Matan Torah, talks about what laws? Of everything of the great Matan Torah, the Aseres HaDivros, that moment of might and majesty, transformative moment in the history of the world. The single most important event that ever took place in the world is clearly Matan Torah. If not for Matan Torah, this world would be not relevant. It probably wouldn't even be here, right? Bishvil Torah Shenik Bereshis, it transformed the Jewish people to being the Am HaNivchar in its fullest sense. They were chosen already, but now they were equipped. So what happens after Matan Torah? Hashem says, you know what? Don't make Elokei Zahav, don't do Avodah Zarah, as if they're going to do Avodah Zarah right after Matan Torah, which they did actually. Mizbeach Adama Taseli, make me a Mizbeach. Mizbeach Havanim, it gives them the laws of the Mizbeach. Why? Why is that it? Why? After Matan Torah, maybe you should tell me, I don't know, Kedoshim Tiyu, Ki Kadosh Ani, I don't know, give them some uplifting, special thing, gives them the parameters of the Mizbeach. You can't have a cherev on it, and you can't have steps, you got to go up slowly, even though they're wearing trousers as part of the Big Day Kahuna. Michnasayim, still you can't walk up steps of the ramp open your legs because it's disrespectful, and you don't walk that way. You walk toe to heel, heel to toe. That's how royalty walks, heel to toe. And what does this have to do with Matan Torah? One more thing, the Haftorah. Did you read the Haftorah? Did you follow the Haftorah? What's it about? Is it about thunder and lightning and the splitting of the heavens and the Kailos and Brakim?
It's Yishayahu with the Kadosh.
What does it say?
That's pretty
Well,
Awesome.
let's take a look at it for a second. Does it match Matan Torah?
I think.
Doesn't seem to. I'll tell you, on my initial reading anyway. Let's take a look. If it would have said something about Kolos and Brakim and, fire and brimstone and Hashem's booming voice, maybe.
Well, the thing is like this, Yeshayahu was compared like a household person in Shemayim, as a Yecheskel was like a country pumpkin in
Compared to that, he was in and out.
So.
But this is Yeshaya.
He didn't make it. He just described what he saw, but it was low key as against what.
Correct. And so maybe he's low key. Then why choose him for the Haftorah? You could choose Yecheskel. Maybe we should have chosen the first chapter of Yecheskel, which speaks about the Kavod Shamayim, the chariot, which is what Klal Yisrael really saw. That would have been a perfect fit.
Because Moshe was also like that in Shemayim, like Yeshayahu.
Okay, so you say it was more toned down, but look what who's the star? There are two stars of this Haftorah. The first one is a Kohen. And they're saying, we need somebody to be mashpia on Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael's going off the derech. And who is there? Yeshua Kohen Gadol. Okay, so people say, "Oh, okay." And he says, "Listen, my people are not that great. They're am tmeis vasayim."
But God,
And he gets a coal in his mouth for doing that. Okay.
that's another comparison with Moshe. Ooh, but I mean, he was a baby.
Near the end of that Haftarah, they have a term that I think has been very badly misused, a prince of peace.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's not the Kohen Gadol. It's Yeshaya. Yeshaya himself. That's a different story. Yeshaya himself said, I can't talk to these people. When Hashem says, no, you've got to go down. And then we have the famous description of Mashiach.
Yes. But Goyim, they think that's Yashka.
Well, they think everything is Yashka. I mean, that's what a guy does. That's what Christianity does. It takes every single pasuk in the Torah. It is from the first century, from the second. They do this all along. They have their own. Yashka. Yashka. Everything is nonsense. The Ramban proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's all nonsense at his debate, and he got rewarded by being kicked out of the country.
Right.
Not because he debated, but because he wrote it down. It's very interesting.
And after the
Very
debate,
interesting. They didn't kick him out because he won the debate. He was forced into the debate. He had no choice. But who told you to take a victory lap? Who told you to write it down and stick it in our noses? That was too much. And they started again with complaining about him, and they got him removed from the country. Which was fortunate for us, but it was unfortunate for them. Because he went to Eretz Yisrael and rekindled Yiddishkeit in Yerushalayim, and that candle has never extinguished since the Ramban. As we've said, he built this, what we call the Ramban Shul today. Not that it was on that location, but there was always a Ramban Shul from his era forward since today, close to 700 years. Almost 700 years. So it was good for us that he went there. Okay. So, okay. We speak about the Navi, and we speak about, we have a reference to Melech HaMoshiach, the Prince of Peace. Don't get it. I don't see the connection. I just don't see the connection. All right? Now. So far so good? So everybody got all the questions? Yes? We're holding? All right. So, I wrote my notes. I came with my notes today. A lot of notes. Here they are. And we're learning, we have Nishmas Gila, Bas Yechiel Leibish. Oh, yes, I'm sure. Okay. Why did Yisro bring Tzipporah back? Maybe Moshe didn't want her. Isn't it a bizayon if Moshe would send her back away? Why risk that? Why did he bring Tzipporah? Goodness. That was a risk. And
How old were the boys, more or less, when they came back? teenagers or little ones?
How old could they have been? Goodness. Gershom could have been older. Eliezer was probably quite young. Some say Eliezer was born on the way back to Mitzrayim, which means he's all of a year old. Now, Gershom could have been considerably older. We don't know. Okay. So, in order to understand some of these things, let's look at that word chatan for a second. What does it mean to be choten Moshe? The key word is choten Moshe. Kohen Midyan, choten Moshe. Let's look at those two things. Where does that word appear connected to Yisro once again, earlier? And it's actually the third incident that Chazal tell us may have caused Yisro, triggered Yisro's departure. Remember we said, Milchemes Amalek, okay, Kriyas Yam Suf before that, and maybe that there was a bris milah that took place, even though Tzipporah came back, but he might not have known it. Or he had just recently heard it anyway, because it was within the year anyway. It was certainly within the year, okay? So what does Tzipporah call Moshe when she is compelled? You know what the Medrash says, a snake wound itself around Moshe Rabbeinu up to his waist, and was killing him like a boa constrictor.
Like
A bridegroom of blood.
A bride ki chatan damim atali, and she says, Shuv amra chatan damim lemulas. What did she say? What is she talking about? Okay. There's one more time where chatan is very prominent in Bereshit, and that is in what incident they said, well, we'll marry them, they'll marry us. Do you remember that?
You know, with
Dinah and Hamor. Again, with the issue of a Jew marrying what we call a Ben Noach, somebody who's a Gentile. And over there, this is what they said. They said, Vihit chantu osanu. Choten, they're gonna choten us. So what Moshe did was he was chotened. What does that mean? Well, it means b'noseichem titnu lanu ve'es b'noseinu tikhu lachem. What did Yisro do? He says, I'm going to give you my daughter. What does giving you the daughter have to do with being a choten? Choten means then what? If you take from Shem and Hamor, what they said to their people is, if you want to be bound up with these people in such a way that they cannot be separated from us anymore. It means bound together forever. Forever. I'm not saying assimilated. It means united with them. How do you take two disparate families and make sure that they're going to be bonded without a chance of separation? It's not one shidduch. It's not one shidduch that's going to do the trick, because that could break. But what if it's 10 or 12 shidduchim? Intertwined. These families are now one family. That's what Shem and Hamor wanted to do. So when you are chotein somebody, what you're really doing is you are binding yourself to that person with a seemingly unbreakable bond.
That Greek meal is also like that.
Oh, you're so good. You're way ahead of me. Okay. Maybe I could just give hints. I'll give signals. And then you'll say the whole shiur. Maybe you can say the shiur. You got it. Okay, 1 second. So, if that's true, that to be choten somebody means to bind yourself to somebody through an unbreakable bond, a human bond, let's say marriage, what did Yisro actually make Moshe do? And he gave him a strict order. He said, Vayoel Moshe lasheves es ha'ish. Moshe had a shvuah that he's not allowed to leave Yisro's tent without permission. Remember, Moshe goes back after the sneh and has to ask permission. He says, I want to see my brothers. He says, Leich l'shalom. He says, go. Moshe did not have any permission to leave Yisro. He's completely bound up to Yisro. Now, there was a second binding that took place. The son, the child. Always through the children there's a bond, right? The children is the bond. Gershom, according to the Mechilta, this is what Schwartz brought earlier, was separated out for what purpose? What did Yisro want to do with the oldest son?
Training.
Avodah Zarah, right? Now do you understand why he was named, why Gershom was named first? Gershom? Because the point over there was, Nebuch, that the first son, the Bechor, who's always what? What is the Bechor's job? to be the
Kohen.
Kohen, right? Is going to be a Kohen to the religion of Yisro. Ger Hayisi Be'eretz Nachriya. He's a Nachri. He's not a Jew. He's a Nachri. Be'eretz Nachriya.
Is he responsible for this or
Oh, what? Was he responsible for Pesach?
no, Pesach.
This
Pesach.
is Yoshi.
Yes, Mrs. Brown. Your impeccable and encyclopedic knowledge once again emerges. There was a little glitch that came out. Gershom did have a descendant, Yonatan, who did do Avodah Zarah. He had a little temple to the Pesach Micha, which was a big problem for whom? Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeah, so there was damage done to Moshe Rabbeinu's, how shall we say, kedusha of serving Hashem, untainted from Avodah Zarah. Yeah, he was tainted, and that some people say might be a critique of Moshe Rabbeinu, that he too easily yielded to Yisro, which leads to my next question: why did Moshe do it? Moshe's a big, strong guy. Medrash says he was only about 10 feet tall, handsome, Ish Mitzri. He had a lot of experience in the world. According to Rashi himself, he ran Vayigdal Moshe. He ran Paro's palace, right? According to the Midrashim, he was king of Cush for many years, and has all the wars. He was always fighting around with Bilam and Bilam's sons. From time to if you read this, there's a Sefer Yosher which fills in the gap of 80 years. Moshe from like Vayigdal, no, Moshe might have been 20, or as young as 13. If it says Vayigdal, but probably closer to 20. And then from what happened from 20 to 80, 60 years of Moshe's life, complete vacuum. No, we have episodes of what he did. He ran major wars. He ruled countries. He contended with some of the nastiest villains in the world. Why did he cave so easily into Yisro?
Could it be a chorus of hope?
Could very well be. Could very well be. And somehow, I have a theory. Let me share with you my theory. The question hinges around this point. Was Yisro Oved at Avodah Zarah until he came to Moshe, or did he quit earlier? Do you have any proof? Rashi's very adamant that Yisro had sworn off Avodah Zarah because he says Kohen Midyan does not mean idolatrous priest, it means leader. So Rashi's position is that no, Yisro, when Moshe first met him, was already not an Oved Avodah Zarah.
Oh,
Already then, wow.
So if that's the case,
so then he could.
how could you reconcile that with the Mechilta, same Mechilta, that says that Gershom was put aside for Avodah Zarah? That's what I got stuck on. You hear my question? I'm going to repeat the question. You can't tell me that Yisro gave up everything and he's still demanding that Gershom be for Avodah Zarah. Is there any way to reconcile those two things?
Maybe he wanted Gershom to go through the same process he did in discovering that all this Avodah Zarah was foolish.
Interesting. Quite possible. And that would explain maybe where Moshe was more open to it. He says he's got to go through his own path of discovery. That's interesting. I came up with a more, like yeshiva approach, learning approach, is that according to many Rishonim, belief in Shituf. Shituf means multiple forces of God, not complete unity of God. God is unified, but there are different elements of God.
Who believes this?
Goyim,
Oh,
Christians in particular.
oh, like the.
If they believe that, then for them it's not Avodah Zarah. In other words, if you're on the level of Ben Noach, prior to Avram Avinu, there's nothing wrong with believing in Shituf, which means there's one God comprised of several Kochos forces, maybe even you call them Spheros or whatever it is, in which he reveals himself to us. If a Jew believes that, it's called Avodah Zarah. Because we say, Shema, Yisrael, Hashem, Elokeinu, Hashem, Echad, our first thing is, and although, as you said, the Christians, of course, break it into three, and they demand to understand it that way. They can't comprehend that Yichud Hashem. They just can't. They're like, don't have the kalim for it. So that's what keeps them B'nai Noah. But Jews rise above that, and they can perceive of the complete unity of Hashem.
Christians are.
Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. What do we say about Yisro? Yishma Yisro. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. We'll get back to Yisro in a second. But I thought perhaps Yisro was not telling Moshe that Gershom should be mamash for Avodah Zarah, except for the Avodah Zarah of a Jew. You understand? From Moshe's perspective of Avodah Zarah, but not from the halachic perspective of Avodah Zarah. Meaning, take a step back from whom? From your identity as a member of the Jewish people. Am HaNivchar, the chosen nation, the B'nai Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So what's Yisro's argument? He says, look, I could imagine this conversation. Moshe Rabbeinu sees Dasan and Aviram, right? Rashi says they ratted him out to Paro. As I've said on numerous occasions, they were altruistic in their motive. They thought Moshe was going to bring death and destruction to the entire Jewish people. Leave us alone. We got to deal with Paro. We got a good thing going here. And the main thing is to have Parnasa. And we're safe here. And there's a Nile. And we don't have to worry about dying of thirst and hunger. You want to lead us out of here. You're damaging. You're a threat to the Jewish people. And they decided, or maybe that's what they were fighting over, by the way. I believe, I'd like to imagine that they were fighting over this issue. Do we have to go to Paro or not? And, and one was compelling the other to say, no, we have to go. We have to go. Because this man is a mortal threat. He's the most dangerous thing to ever, you hear this today all the time. That politician is the most dangerous person ever alive. No, you're the most dangerous person ever alive. No, you're the worst that ever happened in history. No, you're the worst. That's all you hear. Oh, stop. And that's what Dasan and Aviram were saying about Moshe. And they had a point of truth, which is why they were actually, Hashem tolerated them and used them until they went too far with Korach. But other than that, they were rewarded by given a special Kriyat Yamsuf, and they survived where 80% of the Jewish people didn't. So they had some redeemable qualities. That's why they're so difficult. They were so difficult because anybody who's complete sheker is nothing. It's nonsense. But when you have a basis of truth to you, I'm for the Jewish people. I want what's best for the Jewish people. Then that's a hard thing to deal with. So, I'd like to think that Moshe Rabbeinu, after seeing Dasan and Aviram, and seeing through to the truth that they were not defenders of the Jewish people, but they were actually preventing the Jewish people from reaching Har Sinai, which is equal to killing them for all time, and destroying the world. So, the truth is that Dasan and Aviram were keeping the Jewish people and the world away from life. Only Moshe saw that, though. Moshe saw it, and he says, Achein noda hadavar. What's now known to Moshe Rabbeinu? Achein noda hadavar. Says, the Mefarshim says, Medrash, I couldn't understand why the Jewish people are suffering so much, why they were given this terrible punishment of being slaves to Paro for so many years. And he says, now I understand.